Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Beliefcast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
I want to take a moment to express my heartfelt gratitude to the incredible sponsors of the Beliefcast podcast. First, Craig from Craig Swap and Associates. If you need an attorney, he's your guy. Trustworthy, compassionate, always there when you need him most. Next, Wasatch Recovery, the greatest university on the planet, transforming lives one day at a time. Sandy from Minky Couture, the creative genius behind the most comfortable blanket you'll ever wrap yourself in. Comfort like no other. Dave Philippi from Micro Plus, pushing the boundaries of nanotechnology and scientific research to bring us cutting-edge supplements for optimal health. The Ralphs and the Debenhams, creators of Maury Nutrition and Calm. Because if you're struggling with sleep, feeling stressed, or can't focus, Calm is your answer. Special thanks to the award-winning pianist Paul Cardall for his beautiful music that brings inspiration to every episode. Thank you to all these amazing sponsors for supporting the Beliefcast podcast and empowering us to continue spreading positivity and inspiration to the world. Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester with the Todd Inspires Beliefcast. As always, thank you for believing in me and tuning into this wonderful event every week, actually. I've been posting one a week for the last 7 years. We're cranking. We're in the top 150 in mental health, and I couldn't do it without your guys' support, our sponsors as well. Thank you so much for believing in me. I bring on some incredible people who have overcome incredible feats, who are doing amazing things. And guys, today's going to be fantastic. We have a powerhouse lineup today. We have two amazing individuals here redefining leadership, high performance, and resilience. We have Ty Bennett, who's been on my show before. Yeah. For those who don't know, most people do know Ty, but for those who don't know, he's a world-renowned speaker, best-selling author, a serial entrepreneur. As the CEO of the largest Ninja Warrior gym in the world, he knows what it takes to build, lead, and inspire. We've got Tanner. Yeah. Tanner, his son, he's 16. He's already making waves in the Ninja Warrior scene, a national competitor, student leader, high-performance researcher. He's proving that age is no barrier to greatness. Yeah. So thanks for being here, Tanner.
Thank you so much, Todd.
Absolutely. And then, your younger brother, Drew, wasn't able to make it, but let's give a little shout out to Drew. He's 14 years old. He's competed on American Ninja Warrior Junior. He's been featured in the top 40 under 40 at 9 years old.
Yeah, no fair. It took me until like 35
dude,
to
right?
make
That's
that
insane.
list.
That's incredible. He's an athlete, coach, speaker, passionate about peak performance. Your guys' family isn't just talking about high performance. You're actually living it. So let's go.
That's the goal,
Does
right?
that sound
That's what
good?
we're trying to do.
So why don't we just start off, for those who maybe don't know much about you two. Ty, why don't we start with you? Just tell us a little bit of background on you and your family and your amazing boys.
Yeah. So we have 5 kids. 2 of them are into ninja. The other 3 are into other things, and
right.
It's fun. But my background has always been as a speaker, an author, an entrepreneur, and the boys found ninja by watching the show, actually November 22nd of 2018. I only know that date because we celebrate it as Ninja Warrior Day at our house.
Really?
I don't know what you celebrate, maybe Thanksgiving, but
probably, yeah.
For us, it's Ninja Warrior Day because
that's amazing.
They watched the show and became obsessed, more so than anything I had ever seen. And so we started building some obstacles in our basement and our backyard. It just kept expanding. And now we own 2 ninja gyms, and it's kind of taken over our life. But for me, as I've watched, 1, it's been awesome to see them grow in this sport.
Right.
2, it's been ninja's a unique sport because I think it uniquely illustrates some lessons in high performance because it's so visual. I think it does it in a way that most sports don't. But I would find myself constantly coaching them, especially around mindset and things. And I was having the same conversations with them in a ninja gym as I was having on stage with leaders and salespeople that I speak to.
Yeah.
And so that led us down the road of saying, okay, let's do something with this. And we'll get into that, I'm sure. But we've done some research around high performance, and we share these lessons on stage with the boys being part.
Yeah, you guys did like a white paper. It's called Redefining High Performance for Working America. And you were obviously really involved with that, Tanner, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about that a little bit.
It's been so cool because I got the opportunity with my dad and my brother to write this scientific white paper, and we worked with a PhD team, and we wrote down questions that we wanted to learn about high performance that related to our speech, and then we went through Working America and asked them and figured out the answers, which has been super cool to see those lessons that I've learned in Ninja be proven by that data.
Yeah, so we'll talk more about that, and that's so cool that you were so involved with that, and so is your brother as well. And I think that's so cool that you guys are doing this, because I've read through it a few times because we were going to have you on earlier, and so I was researching all that myself, but so impressed with the information that's in there, like so blown away. Obviously, you're passionate about Ninja Warrior and that kind of stuff. When did you know? What age were you when you were like, man, this is something I want to get involved with?
It was really the first time I watched it. I just watched it with my brother Thanksgiving morning in 2018 and just fell in love with it. All we wanted to do was just recreate it, and ever since that I haven't stopped.
Right. Yeah, isn't that funny how it can just take see something, one time and like that's it.
Yeah.
Right. I can remember basketball was my passion growing up.
Me too.
And I'll never forget when I was younger, I watched this replay. I didn't see the actual live when Dr. J, you'll remember this. He was palming the ball and he went under the backboard and then back on the other side and laid it in. And I was like, sick. I want to do that, and that's when I was like, okay, I want to be a basketball player. So I can kind of relate with like when you see something like your heart tells you that's what I want to do.
The cool part to me is that like, I would guess you remember the exact episode, right? Yeah. Whose run was it?
It was Brent Stephenson. It was season 4 of American Ninja Warrior. He beat the ultimate cliffhanger, which was an obstacle on stage 3 for the first time.
So like, to me, I love that your specific example. That's why I wanted to ask, because I think sometimes we don't recognize when we do inspire people, right? The word inspire means to breathe life into people.
Yeah.
And you do that through this podcast every week. You do that in your office. You do that in so many different ways. But Brent Stephenson was just trying to beat a course, didn't think about it, and inspired 2 kids that have now dedicated a huge part of their life to this because of his performance, right?
Yeah. I actually had him on my podcast years ago, and it was probably right around that time.
That's
now
awesome.
that I think about it, it just hit me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've had him on my podcast.
How cool is that?
He's the reason I'm doing this.
No way. Shout out to Brent, right? That's amazing.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, Ty, let's talk to you for just a quick sec. Obviously, you're a high performer. You're very inspirational yourself, and I really admire you. I've followed you for many, many years, and so grateful that we've been able to bounce ideas off of each other. Tell us about, where does this come from? Like, where does this drive for you to just be this inspiration for other people? Where does that come from?
So I feel like I've always had a lot of drive in my life, pretty ambitious, right? And I think I was blessed with good parents who supported any endeavor I ever wanted to go after, probably to the point of ridiculousness.
Right.
And so because of that example, I've tried to do that with my kids, right? And support them in different ways. But I don't know. Since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to make an impact in the world.
Yeah.
And I've always loved people and always knew that I wanted to be around and with people, and had some different experiences through my life that just taught me that I want to leave people better, and I want to be able to inspire and bring out the potential in people and share ideas that help shape the way that they view the world and the way they show up for the world.
Yeah.
So after building a business, it was really more of a passion that said I want to start writing books and speaking. And speaking is really more of my skill set. I've written 4 books, but I don't even really view myself as an author. That's just kind of come along with it.
They're bestsellers, by the way. But, no big deal.
Some have done well. 3 of the 4.
Yeah.
One of them didn't do that
That's
well.
okay.
But
hey, 3 out of 4 is pretty good.
yeah, we've got
Solid C.
Yeah, Tanner bringing some heat over there.
Yeah. So that's just what I love to do. Like, I
Yeah.
feel the most alive when I'm on stage speaking to a group of people. And it's not just like the thrill of that. There's that, but it's watching their eyes light up. It's watching that aha moment click. When you can see that change happen in somebody, I'm like, okay, that connected.
Yeah.
That's what I love.
Yeah. Well, and again, for those who don't know you, Ty, I mean, you really do. You're speaking to large audiences all over the world, inspiring them as well. And I know what that feels like when you see someone, like when I'm working with an individual client, when you see something click, meaning they're like, oh, there really is maybe nothing wrong with me, and I can actually be successful, and maybe I am a good person, and you start to see, like you said, the light turn on. That's when I go, oh, this is why I do this.
That's cool.
Right? To be able to see that,
awesome.
right? So, so how is your passion and drive? How do you feel like that's influenced Tanner? And then I'm going to hear from Tanner here what he feels about
I'd be
it.
curious to hear his thoughts on that. I think, it's interesting when you have a parent who is a high achiever, they have pretty huge expectations, right? And so I'm sure there's times that my kids have been like, okay, calm down,
relax.
But more than anything, I think as a parent, my job is to equip them to face the world that they're going to face as adults. And so I think learning to work hard is important. I think learning to lead is important. I think learning to problem solve is important. I think learning how to communicate, like the lessons I'm teaching the world, I believe in truly. And so I want my kids to have those same lessons. And so I'm sure there's times that's overbearing. I'm curious his thoughts on that. But, to their credit, they're very capable, very incredible kids, and
For sure.
Inspire me in a huge way.
Yeah, no, I love it. So Tanner, how is your dad's influence, watching him thrive in his business and on stage and, writing books and doing all that stuff? How has that influenced you, and how do you feel like that has helped you to be where you're at right now?
It's been really cool. I'm very blessed to have my dad as my dad, and you always look up to your dad, especially when you're little. And I always looked up to my dad and didn't really think through what he was doing. I was just like, oh yeah, he just went and talked to people as his job. But then, that's how I thought of it. Yeah. That's what he does. Yeah. But then, as I've grown up, I've seen the impact that he's created in other people, and I've realized that that's what I want to do with myself, whether or not that's through speaking. But just seeing the way that he can connect with people, the way that he's been able to positively influence people's lives, that's made a huge difference to me. And I know that that's become a priority in my life because of him.
Yeah. Is there times where you do feel a lot of pressure to live up to a certain expectation, or has that been a little overwhelming at times?
It is a little overwhelming at times, but I always know that he's pushing me because he knows what I can do. Yeah. And he pushes me because he sees the version of Tanner that can come out of it. Yeah. Every time that he does, I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah, it might hurt in the moment, but then you look back and go, okay, I'm so glad Dad pushed me. And obviously he loves you and wants you to be the best. Yeah. We were talking before we went live about mindset. And I'm curious, this, powerful 16-year-old, like what's, let me see. Why is mindset, having a strong one, so important, especially for a kid as young as you?
I feel like mindset's everything. Like, you have limitations, like physically, but beyond that, you can do so much more with your brain than you can do with your body. So like having a mindset where you know that you can grow, and like kind of going off what we were saying with my dad pushing me. So having the mindset thinking he's seeing something bigger in me that I just need to see myself, instead of seeing, oh, he's just doing this because he hates me. If I see it like, which I don't think that.
I know that. This is,
But if I see it like, if I see it as he's doing it to punish, or something's happening against me instead of for me. So that helps a lot, because I've been trying to develop that mindset in myself. Just things happen for me and help me improve.
Yeah, I love that. How, you train as a ninja warrior, you compete, all that stuff. How has that helped you build a stronger mindset going through that process?
It's grown my confidence in myself a lot. We talk about this in our keynote, but for a long time in Ninja Warrior competitions, I struggled a lot with confidence. I got really, I would do it in training, and then during competitions, I would just get terrified. I'd go super slow. I would miss a ton of obstacles because I just couldn't get over my fear. And training in Ninja has helped me breed that confidence. And that's applied to other aspects of my life aside from Ninja too, because I know I trust myself and I know what I can do.
Yeah.
It brings me so much more confidence, which I think has been really cool to see.
No, I love that. I think, playing sports in general is a good thing for kids because for that confidence. So, but I want to ask you, Ty, you may have touched on these points already, but let's get more specific. Like when it comes to confidence, and we all want our kids to be really confident. You're obviously a very confident person, especially when you're doing your thing. How do you, I guess, cultivate and mold confidence in a child?
Yeah. I think a couple of things. One, I do think that being around confidence rubs off on you. I think that helps, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I think we take for granted some of those things, right? Like if you're around people who are confident, like that's just their way of being. And so you pick up on some of those things. But a couple of things that I tell the boys all the time, competence increases your confidence. So as you raise your skill set, when you know I can get the job done, whatever it is, in sports, whatever it is, you're going to be more confident in that regard. And so preparation and putting in the work really pays dividends. I also, one of the things we talk about often is confidence doesn't mean that you're better than other people. It means you stop comparing yourself to other people.
Wow. I've never heard of it said that way. I love that.
So we all get stuck in this, right? We do that all of the time. All of us I look at posts that you have and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. He's speaking to this group or whatever, right? We do that and we all compare ourselves, but we don't put ourselves in a confident place when I can be happy for you, when I can celebrate you and be secure in who I am and know that takes nothing away from me. And stop comparing. I think that breeds confidence in a huge way too.
Boy, I love that. That competence piece. I remember when I was a sophomore playing basketball, I was in a practice, and the person guarding me was the senior starting point guard. And I, as a sophomore, like, oh my gosh, I hope I can, and I did this move and I blew past him and I did this layup, right? And it was like, you could hear the other players go, whoa. And it was in that moment, I honestly like, I can hang with these guys. I can actually hang with these guys. And it's so funny you say that because I remember running back to go to play defense, and I just felt my confidence go from here to here. It was insane.
Going back to the question, I see my role as a dad is to try and provide opportunities to push that, but then where I can to point that out, right? To go, no, you're at the same level. Did you see what you just did?
He's
like,
really
and
good at
just
that.
reinforce that mindset of like, you got this. And so, but I think those little moments, they change us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously doing one of those courses and the grip strength you must have to have in order. I mean, I remember shaking Addie's hand. I was like, dang, she just about broke my hand. And man, she's, I would imagine when you first started, you probably struggled doing all the different type of, I guess, what do you call them?
Obstacles. Moves,
yeah, just obstacles, right? So was that hard in the beginning when you were trying to do this and maybe you weren't making it all the way through the course and you were failing halfway through, or how did that process look like?
So it for sure was very difficult at the start because I just wasn't actually like being able to do anything. Like I came to the gym for the first time. I think I got one obstacle. It was just running. That was the entire obstacle.
Right.
But I was able to push through that and work and improve and figure out those skills. Figure out the main skill in Ninja is called a lache. It's where you swing from one bar, swing super big, let go of both hands, fly through the air, and catch another bar.
Yeah.
Like I still remember vividly when I got my first 5-foot lache, I started screaming like crazy. But it's just, I just kept on building on it. I would take the little skills, I would figure out the little piece that I needed, I would just expand it and make it better or more efficient. And
I love that. What's one of the hardest obstacles for you, or something that's been one of those things that you really have struggled with?
I struggle a lot with more flowy obstacles. So
Okay.
obstacles like similar, more lache fashioned. I'm like just more naturally.
Where you have to fly through the air. Is that what you
Yeah.
mean? Catch things and
Yeah.
turn
And
around
specifically in Ninja, like linking things together where you just do it quicker, more efficiently, and there's a lot of flow to it.
Okay.
That's
His
just-
skill set is a little bit more in the grip strength.
I'm more
type
like
obstacles.
strength. I'm better at like strength based things.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
and it's been hard to figure that out, but it's just taken a lot of work, and I've gotten a lot better at it, which has
I'm
been
sure
really
you-
cool
yeah.
to see.
No, I watched some of your stuff. I'm like, dang, this guy's on fire.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty impressive. So let's talk a little bit. You guys did this white paper, redefining peak performance for America. Let's talk about why did you guys do this? And if for those who haven't read it or don't know about it, tell us what it's all about.
Yeah, so we wanted to bring the lessons from Ninja Warrior on stage, right? That
Yeah.
was kind of the goal. We started sharing, on social media, I'd share videos and people would lose their minds, right? And I am in front of audiences all the time. I know how people respond to stuff. And I was like, we need to bring that here.
Yeah, like the actual stage.
Yeah, like how can
on
we
the
do that,
stage.
right? And so we started exploring that idea. But it was interesting because, the boys obviously can do Ninja incredibly well. But I was looking at it and going, okay, if I haven't like written a book on this or done like a deeper dive on this somehow, like I want to bring credible information, not just the metaphor,
Right.
but like what's going to really move the needle for these companies? Because I'm going into, big companies, Fortune 500 companies, and talking to their leaders or their sales team. And I want to make sure we're bringing some real value.
Yeah.
And so we made a decision to do a national research study on high performance. One of the biggest of its kind. Tanner mentioned this, PhD led. We put this together, and a friend of mine owns the research firm that we decided to work with.
Okay.
And it was, as we were talking about it, he goes, hold on, I just got goosebumps. And I go, what? And he goes, your boys are going to co-author this with you. He goes, they will be maybe the youngest people to ever co-author a white paper on a research study. And I was like, that is awesome. And so for me to have them be part, and because they view it from like the lens of an elite athlete, I view
Yeah.
it from the lens of an entrepreneur and
Yeah.
a leadership expert. And so, to kind of come at it that way and flush out this research has been a really cool process.
Wow. So what are your thoughts? Tell us about what your experience was in doing this.
It's been so cool. I'm so grateful for the opportunity that I've got to be able to see this and see it come to life. It was so cool just like throughout the entire process. Like we helped write most of the questions for the white paper. Like just like me and my brother just had a sheet of paper and wrote down questions, and my dad and we went through it was like, that one's good, that one's not, and figured out what we wanted to be able to get the best data, and coming back and reading through all the data and then getting it published. It's been so cool to see.
Right. I mean, not many people, like you said, can at age 16 to be able to say, I've done this. And the
So
things that you're
cool.
doing is pretty incredible.
Thank
and I
you.
think it's a testament, not only because you got the influence of your mom and your dad, who are amazing parents, but yet you've built this mindset over the last several years even, right? That's allowed you to go, you know what, I can do anything. I don't know. Do you feel that way? Like, you know what, if I put my mind to it, I'm going to be able to figure that out.
Yeah, it's been cool, especially with this and just with everything in life. I love to push myself. I love to put myself in situations where I'm not 100% confident and not 100% sure if I'll be able to make it. And it's been cool seeing me push myself. And afterwards, just gaining that confidence, like brick by brick, I get a little more every time. And I really do feel like I can if I put my mind to something, I can do most things.
Yeah.
Just
I
been
bet the
really cool to
downside
see.
though is as their
love it.
dad, I do use this like against them sometimes. Like, guys, our research said,
Yeah,
so
right.
there's sometimes it comes back to bite them for sure.
Totally, yeah. Got some fuel for you, right? I'm going to ask you a really vulnerable question because I have a lot of kids who turn into this podcast who are struggling. And they struggle with mindset, to be quite honest with you. They struggle with believing in themselves. They struggle with, a myriad of things. But, maybe some kid listening to you right now who's struggling with that, like, what is something these kids could maybe start doing that could help them kind of maybe break out of that, maybe, that mindset that's holding them back?
Well, I've struggled with that for a while. I've struggled a lot with like just being able to trust in myself and like feel how I feel. So
Yeah.
it's a process to figure that out, but you gotta appreciate what you do, because once you start, gratitude is the biggest thing. And if it's like with something in yourself and like you don't believe in yourself, then just start appreciate. Something that's helped me a ton is I've started to appreciate like little things that I do. Like I go like, oh, that was cool that I did that. I'm happy I did that.
Yeah.
And it just builds that confidence and builds that, so then I just feel more and more and more confident with myself.
So focusing more on the positive things, not necessarily the the mistakes or the failures, and at least finding one thing. Like if I'm sure in your training, like you go and train, and there's a lot of failures along the way as you're training,
For sure.
right? But then if you can point out, hey, but you know what? Last week I couldn't lache 10 feet, and now I did it, and
Yeah.
so I'm grateful for that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just appreciating the success and looking for the success.
Yeah. Gratitude really is a powerful thing, isn't it, Ty?
It is. And Tan, if you're okay with some of this, like Tanner holds himself to a pretty high standard. And I think for people like that, when you do make mistakes, because we all make mistakes, there's an element of like shame that comes in, right? There's sometimes we're really hard on ourselves in that regard. I know that's been, through conversations we've had, something that he's been figuring out for him too, because, guilt will drive us forward and we recognize we did something wrong, but shame will stop us and hold us back. And so distinguishing some of those things and learning through that's not easy.
Wow. Thanks for bringing that up, because that's a big subject on my podcast, the guilt versus shame thing, right? Guilt is I maybe did something wrong. Shame is I'm wrong. I'm a bad person kind of thing. And I see shame with my clients so much that's the biggest thing holding them back. They just believe that they ultimately just aren't good enough. Like I'm less than. And it's like, no, man, you made a mistake. It's like, okay, it can sting a little bit because you made a mistake, but to go to that mindset of I'm less than, how does one break out of that, Ty?
Well, Tan, I'd be curious to ask your thoughts, because this is a conversation we've had, right? And so as you've been working through that, what's helped you?
I already kind of shared this, but I've had this has been something that I've struggled with a lot in my life. Okay. It's just been very hard for me. Yeah. And it is straight just gratitude and appreciating and loving myself. And I just, because I struggled for a long time with loving myself and feeling like I was enough. Yeah. And how I got over that, I talked through with my sister a lot. And having a support system is huge because people always can see more in you than you can see in yourself. And then I would just go out of situations and I made a list of things that I love about myself, and I love that. And I just kept on going. Anytime I would do something good, I was like, I love that I do that. I would say a phrase that I like to say, and I'm just like, I love that I say that phrase.
What's interesting is I hear that. I have heard you say that. I didn't know why you did it. Yeah. But that, I hear that all the time. I love that I use that phrase. And I'm like, okay.
It
just seemed like an interesting observation.
Yeah.
But
it's random, but it helps so much. Just or I'm singing along to a song. I'm like, I love that I know every word to the song. Or just any little thing. And it's always the little things that build on top of each other that can create that new mindset and can create that new mindset of going from I'm not enough to I am enough.
Wow. Wise word from a 16-year-old. Holy cow.
Awesome.
That's got to make your heart swell a little bit.
That's very awesome.
Right? Thanks for sharing that, Tanner. That's beautiful.
For sure.
You obviously have big dreams and aspirations and stuff. What does it look like moving forward? What do you want to do from here? What's on the radar for you?
So I'm on my school student council, and that means a lot to me. I want to continue to do that all throughout high school.
Okay.
Put it out there. What's the real goal?
The real goal, I want to be a student body president my senior year. That's
nice.
That's a big goal of mine. So I'm working on that a lot.
That'll be great.
And then I want to serve a mission for my church. That's something that matters a lot to me. Yeah. I just I keep the big goals in mind. And for me, if you know where your priorities are, everything else falls into place pretty easily. So then I know after my mission, I want to go to college. So that helps me keep in track how I want to do school, how I keep my grades up. Yeah. Then I want to start a business like my dad. I want to be able, I want to stay doing ninja throughout all of this, and I love ninja so much.
Yeah.
And I just want to just keep on growing in my life as much as I can.
That's amazing that you've kind of got it planned out that where you want to go. A lot of kids your age, if I ask that question, they have no idea. And it may change, obviously, because our minds can change. But for you to have some sort of a plan looking ahead, that's impressive. Really, it truly is impressive. So if you don't mind if I ask, tell us a little bit about your faith, and why does your faith mean so much to you?
For me, my faith is the most important thing in my life, and my belief in God and Jesus Christ as my Savior, because I feel like it's the most important thing for my life just because of what I believe. I believe that after this life, there's so much more. So like that keeps me going, especially when times are hard. It keeps me thinking through that, and it stays at the center of my focus.
Wow. I love that. Great answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I would imagine, are you the type of kid that, like, before you do an event, will you say a prayer? And
yeah, I say a prayer before every
lean on
ninja
that, do you?
competition.
Okay.
We say a prayer before every speech too.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I had this girl on my podcast. She's a singer back in Nashville, and she was 15, and I had her come on, and she says to me, "Hey, before we start, we need to say a prayer." I'm like,
that's awesome.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm like, man, I got to be better. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And she says this amazing prayer before we started. I was like, dude, who are you, right?
That's
and
awesome.
you remind me a lot of her, like this person who's driven, but you got your priorities straight. You're doing good things. You want to do good things. I mean, it's choking me up to even think about it. Like, we need more kids like you who are out there being an influence for good.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, Ty, if I can ask you the same question.
I just want to listen to you and Tanner keep talking. Like,
I know.
I'm good.
I know. No, hey, we got to
I'll
bring
just
Dad in here
I'll
a little
observe.
bit. I know.
I'm okay.
Obviously, you're a faith-based family, and it means a lot to you. And I knew this, way back when we had you on the show years ago. Tell us about why that means so much to you, and then how good does it feel to hear your son speak this way?
Yeah, for us, faith is part of who we are, right? It's how we operate as a family every day. Yeah. It's not on Sundays we go to church. It's every day of our life.
Yeah.
I think it is how I define myself, right? Like, you can read accolades and things, and those don't define me.
Right.
They're what I do. But what defines me more than anything else is my belief and relationship with God, and me living the way that I feel like I'm supposed to live. And so as a family, I'm grateful for this, but it's a huge part of all of our kids' lives at this point. We have our oldest daughter is leaving on a mission to Hawaii next month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we're excied for her to do that. And she rough mission.
Yeah, right.
No, but she's been an awesome, example and leader within the family with, her siblings and that. But yeah, for us, that's probably the biggest driver. And as if we go deeper into what we're talking about, what I do is I want to be a force for good and bring people positivity. And in my mind, in a small way, that's bringing them towards God, right? Like whatever that is for them. I'm not staying on stages. I'm not preaching. That's not what not what I'm doing. But if we can bring some light to people, I think that's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. Wow. Well said. What do you think of that?
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for my dad's example, especially in faith. He's always been an example to me of like how I want to be as a dad for my kids and how I want to be able to show up for God. So I'm so grateful for that.
Well, I'll tell you, as a dad myself, when I can see my kids sharing and teaching my grandkids the same things I was teaching them, I'm like, okay, they were listening.
Awesome.
And that
awesome.
you kind of beam and smile and, that kind of thing. So that's neat that you guys have such a relationship around this. And faith is powerful. Faith can move mountains. We hear that a lot, but it's true. I mean, and even if the mountain's just the obstacle in our head that we've made up, and that kind of thing. I want to share a stoicism principle, if you will, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay.
Because it kind of relates with what you do.
Okay.
one of them is the obstacle in the way. The obstacle in the way is the way.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
I feel like, in our research study, I think the most interesting point that we found, in my opinion, is 75% of people said that not being able to embrace failure is the biggest thing that stops high performance.
Oh,
but then 40% of people said that they do it.
Okay.
Which is that's a big gap. That's 35% of people who know that they need to embrace failure but don't actually do it. Which I feel like that goes along very well with what you said.
Yeah.
Because you can't succeed without failing.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if you're really lucky, you'll get something your first try. But 99 times out of 100 even, you're going to fail over and over and over again. But it's not about if you fail, it's about when you fail, what you're going to do with it. So it's the mindset of seeing the obstacle as the way to success instead of seeing it as an obstacle against success.
Yeah.
So just seeing that, being like, okay, this is hard. How do I get around this? How can I use this to help me succeed?
Dang, man. Look, this guy's on fire. Seriously,
I love
that was
it.
beautifully said.
No, I love it. And they teach that principle incredibly well, but Ninja teaches it so well. Like,
right.
Failure is Ninja. Like, I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But and I'll often say in like speeches, for me, I had no idea you were going to bring up that idea. But if that's the only lesson they got out of Ninja, like every investment, time, money, energy, totally worth it. Right. Because it's going to serve them in so many other areas of their life. And I just love that they've physically, mentally, emotionally lived that principle so much that they really get it.
Yeah.
And so they still feel fear, right? We just literally last night we are rehearsing for this speech. Like, we're at the gym and Drew goes, I don't know about this. And I go, if you can't beat the fear, just do it scared, right? Like, that's just we're going to do it and we're going to figure it out.
It's a Glennon Doyle quote.
Exactly.
Love that. Yeah. It was funny because I spoke at the Pinners Conference this past year, and I mean, the room was packed, getting ready to go, and the equipment just didn't work. Like, I'm sure you've had those moments.
That sucks.
And, and I started, to be honest with you, I started getting scared inside. I'm like, oh, brother, everyone's staring at me and things aren't working. And I literally said that quote out loud just to help me get through it. I said, okay, guys, well, if you're scared, just do it. Or if you can't get over the fear, just do it scared. I go, I'm a little nervous right now because this didn't work. And everyone kind of clapped. I'm like, okay, I'm good now, So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
So
it's
true.
just part of the deal. But I think that lesson is probably the most poignant lesson in Ninja to me. Like the most visually, like you can just see, they fail constantly.
Now, I've seen the reaction that your audience has, but let's let our listeners understand. So you bring an obstacle course onto the stage.
Yeah.
Right?
We're doing something that has never been done
I don't think
before.
it's ever been done.
No.
Which is
the only
really
thing
amazing.
that's like kind of comparable. I have a good friend. I don't know if you've had Peter Vidmar on the show.
I haven't. No.
I'll connect you. Peter won the gold medal in pommel horse in the Olympics in '84.
Yep.
Then was a speaker for years, and for years he would put a pommel horse on stage and do his gold medal routine. Right?
Oh wow! Okay.
And I called him and talked to him about just the logistics, and he goes, "You are putting what on a stage? Right? Like, this is not a simple feat." So it took a while to figure it out, even just how we would physically do it. But I wanted to let people see Ninja, right? And so I had the idea as we were building some obstacles in one of the gyms, and I was like, I could do this, and came up with a version of it. And so we have a 20-foot wide by 10-foot deep by 10-foot tall rig, all metal bars that we put up and drill in together and put together on stage that they can swing on. They can do all sorts of different moves, and there's lots of obstacles attached to it. We currently have 2 of them. One's in Florida in a storage unit. One's here in Utah. And depending on where the speech is, we'll ship it, put it in a U-Haul, drive it. Like, we've taken it to Canada. We've taken it all over the U.S. But so there's some major labor-intensive pieces to this, right? Like putting it up and the setup and everything days before. And but we're sharing this research,
Yeah.
but we're using ninja as a metaphor, which makes it so much more fun, right?
Well, yeah, and if I'm in the audience and I'm sitting there, I'm not just listening to someone read this white paper.
This is not
and
your
here we-
typical speech.
It's like I'm watching this live, and that would make all the difference in the world, I think.
Yeah, and that's the piece that, as I've watched it, to be fair, this is a work in progress, just like anything else.
Right.
Right.
Sure.
Like we are constantly tweaking it.
Oh, I'm sure.
We're giving it tonight, and I have 2 or 3 new pieces that we've added, never done before.
Yeah.
And that's part of the process. But the reaction, I was like, this works. Like, because people's minds are blown. Cause
I bet.
I'm in the gym with them every day,
Yeah.
and they'll do stuff, and I'm like, what in the world? And somebody who's never seen it, they are like, I mean, pulling out phones, clapping,
Oh, yeah.
losing their minds, hitting their neighbor.
Yeah.
And afterwards, this was where it became awesome for me. Like, you could appreciate this as a speaker. We gave a speech in Colorado, and you're already laughing because you know what I'm talking about. This guy comes up after, and he goes, okay, so it's Tanner and Drew, and he looks at me and he goes, what's your name again? And I was like, that is perfect.
That is
that
awesome.
And
Yeah.
the last, like when we do Q&A at the end of some of these, they're like, would you guys answer some questions? Like 10 questions out of 10 are directed to these two.
Yeah.
And they're like, you just go over there. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that commercial when you got the sports athlete and the astronaut, but they're asking the insurance guy
Yeah,
the questions.
exactly.
They're like, who am I?
Yeah.
You know, aren't I the?
I'm the astronaut. Nobody
You are.
cares.
You're like, hey, no, that's neat though that people are gravitating towards that, and I think it personalizes it even more. Like, here's these young kids who are getting themselves out on stage, getting vulnerable, sharing your thoughts, showing it how it's done. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that I get to do it. It's so cool.
And
Yeah.
more and more, I've given them more speaking parts because that was feedback I got too. Like, we want to hear more from the boys, and and so now they're sharing. Pretty soon, I just won't be part of it.
Pretty
but
soon
yeah,
you'll
we're
be
go-
out
we're
in the
gonna
audience
kick 'em out.
watching.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's okay.
But that's kind of like your wheelhouse too, Tanner. Like, this is something you see yourself doing in the future where you're on stage, sharing your story, your message, that kind of thing, right? Similar to what your dad's been doing for years, right?
Yeah, it's so cool to be able to like explore this.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I know you guys get asked a lot of questions, and I know one of the questions I think you get asked a lot is, do your kids get paid to do this? Do they get paid to do the speeches and this and that? And I think you gave your kids a couple options.
Well, the answer is no. This is volunteer. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's all volunteer.
All volunteer.
Yeah, no. So that was actually a cool experience for me as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Here's what I love about this more than anything
Okay.
is this gives me the excuse to have conversations with my kids that I normally wouldn't have.
Yeah.
That's what I love about
Okay.
this, because we talk about every aspect of it. I'm talking about who this audience is, what they need, what the situation is,
Yeah.
how the meeting planner's handling it, how do we work with the AV team, I mean, every aspect, right?
Right.
So when we first came up with this idea, I came to him and I said, you guys have 2 ways you can approach this. I can pay you by the hour. So let's determine an amount. Let's say it's $10 an hour for simple math. So every time we practice, rehearse, you set up the rig, you travel to an event, whatever, we're just going to add up the hours and I'm going to pay you. And they said, okay. I said, option 2 is you have ownership in this. And they said, okay, what does that mean? And I said, well, if you own something, that means that you take part of the risk and part of the reward.
Yeah.
And so we talked through entrepreneurship, and that meant that for the next while, you're not getting paid on any of these first ones because we just bought all the rigs. There's expenses in putting this together, the cost of the study,
Right.
all of these things.
Yeah.
But in the end, then there's a bigger reward, right? Instead of getting paid $10 for that hour you're on stage, it might be more,
Yeah.
right? And so in the end, they chose to have ownership. And
Option
what
2.
I love about
Always.
that more than anything, it's going to serve them better in terms of finances.
For sure. Yeah.
But now they have, and I'm helping them develop an ownership mentality around this to look
Yeah.
at this. No, you own this. Like, this is just as much yours. Let's talk through this. And because of that, we have those conversations. They're partners in this. And to me, that's the cool part.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's cool that you see it that way, right? Because you see the entrepreneur spirit, and what comes with that. And like your dad said, there's some risk, obviously, but the rewards are greater if you stick it out, right?
Yeah, and I think it's so cool that I get the opportunity at 16 to like really understand being an entrepreneur and understand the process of that. And it's been cool feeling like understanding the process of actually owning it, because there's been times like for that I would go into the thing and just be like, oh, I have to practice for the Ninja keynote.
Yeah.
And it was dumb, and I'm happy I've gotten over that mentality, because I understand that I'm like, this is something that I care about, and this is something that I want to grow, so let's put in the work to make that happen.
Yeah, I love that. Well, you guys are doing amazing things, and I'm so impressed, Tanner. Seriously, like my hat's off to you.
Thank you.
My hat's off to you, Ty, for just being the influence you are to your family, and obviously to so many of us in this world. You inspire me all the time. I always get so excited when I see all the stuff you're doing, and it just makes me go, hey, I'm on the right track too. If I'm holding on to your coattails for a minute, I'm happy to do that, and I feel grateful too that I get to sit here with you two guys. Are you kidding me? This is amazing to me. Like, it really, truly is. I want to ask each one of you this question, okay? Because I get a lot of people tuning into this and listening who are absolutely in a dark place. They are struggling. So I'm going to ask you first, Tanner. If there's someone right now listening to your voice who's in a dark place, what would you tell that person right now?
The best way to get out of that dark place is to find a reason to, because if you don't have a reason, you won't. So for me, I did struggle with depression for a while.
Mm-hmm.
How I got out of that is through God. I found my reason.
Okay.
I found my reason. I found my love for my Savior, Jesus Christ, and his love for me. And beyond that, I found things that I loved to do, and people who truly cared about me, like my dad. And that helped me so much through that dark place. So just add a reason and reason and reason.
Love that. Well said. Very well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
How about you, Ty? What would you tell that person?
The thing that came to mind for me is when I've been in hard situations, my tendency, what I wish I would have done differently, is I haven't asked for help the way that I should have.
Okay.
And maybe it's ego, maybe it's whatever, right?
Yeah.
But most people are willing and want to help you. Most people are genuinely good. There are a lot of people who want to help and support.
Right.
And if you'll ask and say, hey, I'm struggling here, or I need some help with this. I think there are times that I could have sped up different processes, or I could have gotten out of a tough situation faster. Or I could have, had an easier time through that if I would have let people in.
Right. Wow. Again, well said. I think that's great advice from both of you, because I know a lot of people do tune into this Beliefcast because they're looking for inspiration. They're looking for some hope, and you guys are definitely sharing that today. If someone wants to get to know more about what you guys are doing and get more involved, and to be able to read your white paper and your research and understand all that stuff, what's the best way for someone to do that?
The white paper's at my website, tybennett.com.
Okay.
You can just download it there.
Okay.
It's free.
Nice.
It's available to whoever wants to dive into it. There's some great research around what drives high performance, what stops it, how leaders can unlock it, right? Some of the things that we found, some of those findings. And then obviously you can see stuff there. You can find both of us on Instagram as well, and see some cool videos from Tanner, and that's a fun thing. So love to connect with everybody. That's great.
Right on. Well, I'll make sure I put those links in the show notes, and they can get right to it. And definitely for your research, it's amazing. So any last words, Tanner, before we wrap this up?
I don't think so. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for coming on. And you said this was your first podcast.
It was.
And it means a lot to me that you would come on my show as a first time. I would have thought you've done this 1,000 times, honestly.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, you're so
much.
well spoken. You carry yourself so well. I admire your faith. I admire your drive. I admire your mindset. I think kids your age need that more than ever. And so your influence on that younger generation is going to be so critical.
Thank you so much.
You bet. And Ty, as always, man, I think the world of you.
I just
Love your
wanted to
family.
sit here and let you have this conversation with Tanner. This
I know.
is beautiful.
It's
I
been
appreciate
good.
it.
No, you bet. And I
Thank you for
appreciate you
doing it.
trusting me with this process. And you guys are fantastic. And I will do whatever I can to help promote this. And we'll get it out there in the next couple of weeks. And we're going to push it out there to a lot of people. And we'll hopefully build a bigger following that you already have, you know.
Thanks for your
Sound
We
good?
appreciate it.
You
Yes,
bet.
It means a lot.
Well, there you go. We got Ty and Tanner Bennett, and Drew wasn't here, but we're going to give a shout out to him. He's a big part of all of this as well. Fantastic kid. Obviously, you got a beautiful family, a beautiful wife, and they all are a big part of all of this. And so, shout out to the Bennett family, and we love you guys. I hope you know that. We think the world of you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
so much.
Okay, guys. I knew I told you guys were going to be in for a great show today. It absolutely was. I always leave here on a high. I think I read it was Stephen Covey. He said his purpose was to unleash human potential. Am I saying that right? Yeah, unleash human potential. And I feel like this is what you guys do. You just unleash it, man. It's like I feel like I want to go swinging on some bars. Let's go.
Come over to the gym anytime
Let's
you
do
want.
it. All right, guys, you're the best. And again, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks to my sponsors. I love you guys. Until next time, everyone, take care.